What's up everyone? In this video I'll be showing you a simple Rubik's Cube prank that you can play on your friends. So the idea of the prank is quite simple. All I have to do is do a certain scramble on the puzzle like this, hand it to a friend, and then challenge them to solve it in under 10 seconds. You can maybe even bet them some money that they can't solve this in under 10 seconds, and there's a good chance that they'll accept the challenge. Now when they go ahead and try to solve the cube in the 10 seconds, they'll do this first move obviously, but then they'll do the last two moves, and then be really confused because the cube is not solved. Then they'll spend the last 5 seconds trying to solve this position, which they probably can't, and then you can win your free $10. So this is a very easy trick slash prank. This generally works with people that never solved a cube before or people who are newer to solving it. However, if you do this trick to a professional cube solver, there's a good chance that it'll catch on and know how this works. So let me first show you how to set up the scramble. It goes like this, pretty simple. M2, U2, M2, U2. Just move the middle twice, the top twice, and then repeat the same thing again, middle twice, top twice. Now you notice that this is not the correct scramble quite yet because of these centers. These are not quite aligned yet. So what you actually have to do is take out the center cap and then replace it with the center cap. So just switch these two. Now on most cubes it should be pretty simple. Just go ahead and put your finger here and you can usually pop out the center cap like that. In some cubes it's impossible to take out, and some cubes it's a bit harder to take out, so you want to be careful about that. Make sure you're not breaking the cube with your nails just to get these caps off, but usually it should be pretty simple to take off the caps. Like that. Alright, now that we have both off, we can just switch them. And of course this is a process that you don't want to show in front of your friends. You want to do this when they're not looking. And here we go, that is our scrambled puzzle. Now this is quite obviously not solvable, so what you want to do is do one move down, one move up. And this looks pretty good. This looks solvable in 2 moves when it's actually impossible to solve. Just to throw them off a bit, I'd like to do some extra move, maybe something like this. It still looks super easy to solve, but it has that one move depth, so it might be harder to recognize that these last 2 moves are impossible. So some extra move, or maybe 2 of them, are nice to throw them off a little bit. And that's literally it for the simple setup. You just give it to your friends, they try to do it, and they get really confused. Now it is important to note that because you switch 2 center caps, this cube is actually unsolvable from this position. So if a newer cuber decides this is hard to solve and they just scramble it and resolve it, they actually can't because it's still unsolvable because you switch those 2 center pieces. So in order to solve it, just switch these 2 pieces back, like this. And then solve this with this algorithm, M2, U2, M2, U2, and that should solve the puzzle. Now the cool thing about this trick is that it works with a lot of other cubes. For example, here are some other cubes I have here. Square 1, a 4x4, and a 6x6. And actually the best part about doing the trick with these puzzles is that you actually don't have to remove any center caps. And it's very possible to get these puzzles to that state without cheating or anything. So yeah, here it is for these 3 puzzles. First off, for square 1, it works pretty similarly. Just do M2, U2, M2. You want to be careful here because the shapes misalign a little bit. But once you get to the final U2, like this, you have reached the position. Then you can go ahead, do one move here, maybe do an extra move here to throw them off. But yeah, they've tried to solve this and realize that they're stuck as usual. And of course the way to solve it is just to hold it like this. M2, U2, M2. Make sure it's aligned for this final M2. Like that. Then do the U2 and it should be solved from there. Alright, now for 4x4. This is going to be also the same alg. So do an M2 like this, moving 2 layers at once. For the U2, you want to move these 2 top layers, like that. And then just do M2, and then U2. And there is your position. So again, do some random moves to throw them off, like that. And there you go, this should throw many people off, since it is not solvable intuitively. So when they give up, show them the simple solution, which is just M2, U2, M2, U2. So again, for 4x4, make sure you're doing the M moves with both layers, and then the U moves with both layers as well. Now this also works with a 6-layered cube, and obviously it can work with 8x8s, 10x10s, etc. So to do it on this cube, do the same exact algorithm. So M2, U2, M2, U2. So this time you're doing the M moves with all of these layers, and then just for the U2, just split the cube in half. So this time instead of the top 3 layers, you do a U2 with. On this cube, if you want to be even more sneaky, you can go ahead and do M moves with 2 layers. So if you do M2 like that, U2, M2, U2. Now it's even harder to get out of this position because you not only did the trick to the outer layers, but also the inner layers. So from here, just go ahead, do the normal scrambling, maybe one extra move or two of them, and there is your scramble. And of course, it should be pretty hard to solve intuitively. Then to solve it, let's do the middle layer first. So M2 of 2 layers because it is 2 layers wide. And then U2, M2, U2. Fix that. Now let's fix the rest of the cube. So M2 like this, U2, M2, U2. And now we solve the cube. So that's how you do a simple trick to make these cubes unsolvable. Now it is quite annoying that for 2x3 you have to remove the center caps. And you kind of have to do it when they're not looking, obviously, because if they look, then they'll know the trick. One good thing about switching the center caps though is that it's actually impossible to solve the cube after you give it to them. So no matter how good they are at solving cubes, they're not going to be able to solve it without that cheating move. But for square 1, 4x4, and 6x6, these puzzles all don't require center cap switching to make it into that state. However, that means it's also possible to solve it without switching any pieces. So there's actually a chance that when they get into this position, they can just solve it like this and just win the bet. That is quite unlikely, but just to be safe, the 3x3 method works the best if you do the center cap switching without them seeing. But yeah, that's it for this simple trick. Very, very easy to do. It gets a lot of great reactions, and it's really fun to see people try to solve the cube from that state. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you found it informative, and thank you for watching.